I'm a yogi. Love sharing my experience, strength, and my hope for the future with all of you. We support each other, realizing our true selves. I'd love to have you join me. Hit the subscribe button, tap the bell for notifications, and share this video with a friend. Thank you.
I'm coming to you today through some fear and trepidation to share with you guys a practice that I began incorporating in my routine in 2019. This practice is stimming. Now, there are several different methods of stimming, several different ways we all stim, and specific stimming types or patterns or habits that may be linked to autism, Asperger's, etc., etc. I want to point out that stimming does not necessarily mean that you are or have these diagnoses. However, these diagnoses, along with ADHD, are all dysfunctions of the nervous system that fall under the term dysautonomia. I am by no means an expert. I am not a behavioral health professional. However, in 2019, I was let go from a job that I thought was going to become my career. During this time, I was experiencing an emotional, physical, and spiritual breakdown. And it was not the first time I'd had a mental breakdown. I'd experienced a traumatic mental breakdown previously, and I saw the signs coming. I knew I needed to manage it somehow, and so I got in the tub and I started taking a few deep breaths. I pressed the back of my spine against the tub, and I pressed my knees against the wall of the tub in front of me, and I began shaking my hands and stimming. Thankfully, I was able to avoid a complete nervous breakdown. I have recognized this practice of stimming allows me to process my emotions through my body, including my nervous system and my subconscious in this process, and thereby literally shaking off the shit that threatens to bind me, body, soul, and mind, to this earth, to this social structure we have built called normalcy and strength. Actual cages in which we allow ourselves to perform or pacify the people we're entertaining, because none of normal society cultured actually feels good to our soul. More often than not, our soul is craving our permission to perform this weirdness, this sensuality with ourself in our own skin, where we don't have to worry about what hair pulling looks like to somebody else on the outside. Right now, it's exceedingly relieving to the muscles in my neck. And guess what? The atlantoaxial instability that I've been diagnosed with is common in children and adults with autism and other types of dysautonomia, whether it be chronic migraines, fibromyalgia, etc., on and on and on, this spectrum of nervous system disorders, where our body, which works much like a battery, cannot connect from the brain to the tailbone, because there's so many different pressures, whether they be society or self-inflicted, inhibiting the ability of our brain to connect with our aligned backbone, to bring our brain into proper alignment over our heart, to power our digestion, to process our elimination, and to unite us back together, mind, body, and soul. This is unity with the divine spirit, shining its light from within us. This is yoga. This energy is what powers our existence. And it's important for us to maintain that channel, to maintain the purity of the tissues. And I'm not just talking about what we put in our mouths and what we poop out of our butts. I'm talking about, are we sweating enough? Are we stretching our tissues enough? If we don't expand our tissues, we cannot contract our tissues. And if we do not contract our tissues cannot eliminate toxic buildup, whether it be emotional, physical, or spiritual. Please remember, I am not a doctor. All of this is my personal experience, strength, and hope. I don't believe we ever perfect this practice of uniting with ourself, this practice of sitting with the pain, recognizing my heart and my mind must be present in this moment for me to process my pain. I have to recognize what feels unpleasant and sit with it, not avoid it, not override it, not disguise it. Sit with it. Move it. Breathe into it. Feel it. And let it go. I must allow myself to feel more deeply than I ever have. We know our body keeps the score. More than our mind remembers the stories of our traumas and our abuses, our tissues have absorbed those stories and those feelings. And did we ever give those tissues time to express what they were feeling? Or did we have to stuff it down? Did we have to just continue rolling with the tide? When we do not process these emotions, when we do not allow our situations and the people we cannot manage, when we do not allow those tensions to flow through our tissues, they become stuck. And that stuckness might look like a tight jaw. That stuckness might look like a neck crank. That stuckness might feel like tightness in the shoulders or restriction of the breath. And that's because those tissues need our attention. When we direct our minds to the tension in our bodies, we turn tension into attention. When we put a in front of a word, it means the reversal of that word. So when we bring our mind's awareness and our breath awareness to this tension in our bodies, and we simmer in this sensation of a loving free fall where we can just melt into eternal existence, where that attention goes, energy of the spirit flows. Freshly oxygenated blood fuels our entire cellular system. This allows stuck fascia to rehydrate and rebound back to where it belongs. This process does not happen unless we interact with it, unless we initiate it, unless we intentionally choose. Despite what society seems to think is acceptable, we must cast that aside and curate space for our feral self to connect with the divine, not being concerned about what anyone else thinks of us, rather laying our body and our heart and our mind at the feet of our Maker. In my opinion, it's best to do this in nature. And if we can take this time to unite with ourself, to tune in to the inner child, to the subconscious, we may find such beauty and peace, a sense of safety and security within ourselves. And if we continue this practice and it becomes a routine and a habit, we may even carry this safety and security with us wherever we go, including but not limited to normal society. But remember, I'm not a doctor, just a yogi. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Your support of this channel and my teachings mean the world to me. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who is present here. If you have not already, please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to be notified about every video that I post, you can click the bell button. That will send you notifications. What is your practice looking like these days? Are you back in a studio? Are you back to the gym? Are you still working out at home? What is your daily exercise looking like? How are you wanting to shift and change and structure in the new year? Remembering that our goal is not to be like anyone else. Our goal is not to compete against anyone else. Our goal is not to attract anyone else, but our own true self. Don't forget, self-care is the best healthcare. Love ya.